Ireland's no bear. There's probably some small groups just like these doxing groups, but however. The harassment from the users escalated into the eventual doxing of not just me, but my family and brother's gravesite. That's just sad and disrespectful to even go that depth. Shows how rabid and crazy certain individuals are. October 6th and 7th, 2024. My decade-old DeviantArt account that I'd never used was hacked by the doxing group. Okay, there's a level of doxing, but why in goodness gracious would you go and hack accounts? I get it if you're getting paid, but why would you go and go that far? That's just cruel. You know you can get in a hell of a lot of trouble if you're discovered doxing group. Fairness, I wouldn't be surprised they have, but still, like, how packed up are people? I posted well documented photos of the situation and how someone that has access to the account started to post illegal child content on the profile. That's just wrong on so many levels. The person who did that, I don't want to say, but I hope you have a horrible life for doing such bad atrocities. Which eventually got the account suspended on October 7, 2024, that I publicly posted about on that date. My other account is getting flooded with login requests that is causing me to get locked out of my account when I try changing the passwords. This is just crazy the way hackers are going, but for this one in particular, like, shows how bad it gets. Like, this is why it's important to change your emails altogether, change your profiles if need be, and also take precautionary steps with your passwords to prevent such login requests to be even made first and foremost. Now, this is going to be long now. It'll probably be an hour in terms of conversation, reading out all these. October 8, 2024. I filed a police report on the situation about everything going on and tried to figure out who to contact. I contacted the Department of Homeland Security when my stay tried to get in touch with the FBI. October 9, 2024, I am contacted by an agent from the FBI asking about my mail, and they are checking my incoming mail for any threats. Contact my local police departments to remain on standby to guard my residence. Seems like it's escalating to violent situations if they know where he lives. October 10, 2024. One of my sponsors emails me that my situation has gotten too out of hand and refuses to work with me anymore. So he lost out on a sponsorship. A similar situation happened with Kirsha in regards to one of her sponsors, but for a totally different scenario and reason, but still in regards to stalkers and harassment. Causing me not just emotional damage from days prior, but financial damage. How low do people need to go? October 11, 2024. FBI agent Brian contacts me again to send him everything I have and what happened and all my evidence. I promptly sent everything I can. Brian says that they will open an investigation and see what they can do on the matter. Now, I'm not saying FBI or any police department are any great, but the way they've been muddled around and seeing how much it can do in regards to the current situation of the judicial system in the United States of America, it's 50-50. And knowing how they let bad people go a lot more now, it makes the FBI's job a lot harder to actually do anything to help the victims, in this case, Chibi Reviews. In October 12, 2024 to February 2025. I've received non-stop harassment daily, either wishing for the death of me to my family being contacted, and even some family members cutting contact with me entirely thanks to the situation. That's bad. Real bad. To really stress out the family members to that degree. There's definite stalking going on if that's the case. The harassment didn't just stop there. Many of them actively disrespected the grave of my brother. Disrespected the grave of the dead. Is a sin more unforgivable than killing? Because when you walk in someone's grave, you're not just disrespecting the one individual, you're disrespecting the whole gravesite. And that's worse or fate for curses to come to them. Not saying it'll come quick enough, but the dead don't take kindly to anyone who disrespects the rest. November 2024, the harassers or doctors managed to find out my phone number, so I was forced to change a number I've had for years to stop the harassment. Just temporary in this case, I imagine. February 6, 2025, my Twitter account got suspended by the same harassment group mass reporting me. Thousands of people celebrated my suspension and compared me to Hitler or Epstein. Many accounts I thought were my friends turned on me, and around this time, X quickly fixed the mistakes and reinstated my account, which, good job on the moderator side. Fair play to them to be patient and do their job. February 11, 2025. After a lot of counsel from the other content creators, family, and friends, I decided to open up a GiveSendGo account to fund a lawsuit against those that harmed me and my family after all these months. The goal was to raise over 20,000 to start a lawsuit. Upon my investigation, defamation cases can go around from the minimum of 15,000, and this is just one case. He's going to have to do multiple to catch the majority of doxers or harassers that are after him. And if in the case of thousands of people celebrated his suspension, I can imagine there's definitely a few hundred willing to go through the steps of stalking and doing this, so he'll have a lot to contend with. But if he can get this lawsuit in a manner that catches the culprits that are leading the operation, it should halt the harassment for a while. Not saying people won't stop, but it should put a dent and hopefully make him and his family recover. I hope they do. I was told to keep quiet about anything related to the case I was building for I can have a successful lawsuit. In the case of lawsuits, like when you're having a court case, you honestly should never post anything in relation until it's finished or it's reached its climax, to which it cannot continue due to evidence not supporting the case, or if it's continuous or other in this case. February 15, 2025. The GiveSendGo account reached 15,000 donations to fund the lawsuit. Now, with the minimum from my understanding given, I was able to start looking around. On this day, same day, there were alleged allegations spreading from my harassers that I abused my ex-girlfriend. Multiple articles were made about this. Why would news agencies make multiple fake articles? That raises a lot of questions. Why would they want to talk about a content creator that has very little influence on the world? So that means there's something scummy going on with these doxers and harassers. Are probably connected to these news agencies as seen with how they spread misinformation in regards to daily ongoing life. The source of this abuse allegation comes from my ex herself. That's surprising. Showed proof of what actually happened with my videos. My ex seemed to have been contacted by my harassers or doctors. They're probably trying their life or something, I imagine. Jeez, I feel sorry for Chibi Review having to go through that grief that his ex I imagine she didn't want to do this. I say she was threatened by these scumbags. Good lord. This is what happens when your life's in danger. The push comes to shove, one way or the other, something bad will come out. February to April 2025, I actively started talking with multiple lawyers to take my case, presenting them with all the evidence I have gathered since everything began. Upon seeking out lawyers, I ran into massive hurdles I was completely unaware of first. First off, lawyers' consultation fees could be as low as free and runs upwards of thousands depending on the lawyer. That's pretty obvious. They're not going to do it. They won't take sympathy on you. This isn't a charity. This is law. If they think they have a case, they need to take it seriously. At the same time, they need to be covered for their bills because, like, being a lawyer is not cheap. There's a lot of legislations, laws that they sign off on papers. If they're going to look into this, they need to check into background with governments or public offices to see if there's anything they can do. They have to do a lot of research. So it's pretty normal for most lawyers or solicitors in these cases. I lost count of how many lawyers I went to, but for many of them in my area, they needed a consultation before they could even accept my case, which is standard practice. It's not because they don't want to, it's just standard procedure for basic things like this. Paying the consultation fee doesn't instantly guarantee the law firm would even accept my case to begin with. Yeah, because they have to check if it's worth their time and it's like, what is the consequences? Is it good or is it bad? Will I be liable to be attacked by these stalkers or harassers? Can I protect myself? I had to ask all these very obvious, straightforward questions in most cases. It's standard enough. So thousands of dollars was spent just going around trying to find the right lawyer, which ate into $15,000 of donations. And that's a lot. Like you need to have a lot of money with lawyers and other law associates to at least get your rounds done, and you learn a lot along the way. So he definitely had to get his documents in order. Chibi Reviews did when doing this. This leads into where I started using my own money to pay for consultations to save what money I had from the donations to actually pay a lawyer. I was embarrassed and ashamed to state that I was still struggling to find a lawyer to take my case, and the consultation fees were adding up. I won't be surprised, like, I say he had to go through a good few hundred, if he did. Now, I'm not saying he did or didn't, but depending on the situation, he wasn't going to get a, a lawyer from nowhere to actually look at this situation. There was no way. Like, I know there's kind people, but there's kind making a job, making your livelihood, and then knowing you're not going to be hurt in the process. Because with this, it's a dangerous job, dangerous practice. They know they can get in the crossfire of whatever's going on. Accompanied by the legal advice of not talking about this, about things I used for my case, I remained silent, which caused stress spill, which isn't normal. Like, you don't want to talk about, you want to share it out because, like, stressful enough. I can only imagine what he's been going through. The fact that it's been going on well over a year or maybe longer, like, it starts off with one, and then a group that associates that doesn't like you, it grows into a ball of hatred and anger and grief and more. April 2025. I suddenly started experiencing a non-stop headache that would persist and never go away. Because when you get more stress, it can cause mental and physical health problems. In case of cancer, stress can damage you. Like, it's happened to a lot of people. So the fact that he was taking in what they said, it really hurt him, especially with his family and friends and exes and such. It really put a strain on his body. The fact that he's still able to go through this says a lot. So do your best, Chibi Reviews. I understand it's not going to be easy. You have a lot to go through, but don't give up. My health took a turn, and I went to the ER to figure out what is going on. I knew whatever it was wouldn't be a good, especially since I am uninsured. Insurance in America is a law, so I understand why he probably couldn't if he was spending like 15 grand or more to even find a lawyer that would take his case to begin with. So he was already spending a lot. Around this time, my harassers were still coming after me daily to ruin my life. April 26, 2025. I go into the hospital and they run all the tests to see what is going on, and apparently I've pinched nerve that is causing my consistent headaches and pain. By pinch, it's probably a trapped nerve announced to the spine, because that's where trapped nerves are most frequent. Because slip disc or that can cause that, or from not sleeping properly in your bed too. If you're not sleeping right, or if you're out of shape when lying or doing anything, it can cause nerves to get trapped and it can cause immense strain. Because what are they? You have your sensory nerves and your motor nerves. If they're not responding, it can cause backlash with cell thoughts and such and such. So, possibility had a lot of issues going on from there because they affected his uh, bodily systems and such. Doctors do what they can and give me what I need to recover. Not saying doctors are great, they could help them, but he needed to go to a physio or a chiropractor to get that sorted if he were to think about it at the time. Not saying doctors wouldn't have been able to relieve it, just doctors tend to go with medicine before going to surgical means, you know? They go for the easiest method for them. Not saying they won't help them, it's just that's how I figure. My fiance and my dad had to step in to help me pay for the hospital bills because of everything going on with me paying for consultation fees, which is very sweet of them to help them out. April, May 2025. I continue my search for lawyers and find out I'll have to go to my state capital to find a lawyer that I will need for my case. Defamation and cybersecurity cases are complex, which is very true because there's a lot that goes through it. Not many lawyers just simply know how to deal with computer and internet in general. So they need to go through a lot. And the fact that he was already in contact with the FBI, he should already have some evidence. Hopefully, they didn't get rid of it based on what he's saying so far. Many lawyers in my area will not take cases like this because of the nature of them, which is understandable. They're very flimsy, to say the least. May 21st, 2025. One of my harassers gets visited by the FBI for open threats against my life. Okay, there's progress. They locate one of his harassers. So what will happen from there? May 28th, 2025. I get contacted by an agent that another person has been investigated for the illegal kid content. So basically, with the CP content posted on my DeviantArt account, judging by the response, it seems like the individual was a minor that did it. Oh Lord. May 2025. While still recovering from the headaches and pain, I start doing consultations again. And this time I use the donation funds instead of money from my own pocket because I needed to pay my hospital bills from April 2025. Because I say he's been getting a lot of donations to cover his expenses, which is going to be ridiculous. Excuse me. June into July 2025. Found a lawyer that did a consultation with me and offered to take my case. The lawyer told me I needed to pay a retainer fee to even begin. Basically, he needs an insurance policy to at least know, okay, you want me to do this? You'll have to give me this in case his insurance and such for policies, I imagine. For transparency's sake, the retainer fee the lawyer wanted was 5,000. That's a freaking lot. 1,000 would be standard, but five, that wasn't including the hourly rate from the lawyer. That was the lawyer told me that I'd get billed monthly on top of that 5K. No offense, I think he could be a Jewish lawyer. The bill could range depending on how much time they invested into the case. But on average, he said it would cost about 2,200 a month, and a case like this could take a while, averaging up to anywhere from 20K or more, depending on how long it takes. Yeah, since his situation had been going on before 2024, probably, and if they had to search history, and then the fact of people deleting posts is another thing, it would be on the grounds of a lot of time consuming research, but depending on how they go about it, they could be just milking them for money. I'm not saying they would. They're a lawyer. They have to be professional, but even still, there are business practices that are scummy. He also said that the individuals I would be subpoenaing, so subpoenaing. I think he was meant to say subpoenas for their information from X could take a while. Yeah, because like at the time this was 2024, like X's moderation team has dwindled because Elon let go of a lot of staff, so it would take longer for responding time and getting the relevant information from each of these accounts that are liable for the stalking or harassing claims, and even longer depending if they're a minor, based on what he said from the Devon, or being a hacker that was minor. And might not even return results, truly. However, they were confident from the evidence provided I can succeed. That's what they were confident. I told the lawyer to let me think on it and I'll get back to him after I make sure it's the right lawyer for the job. Because out of the 15K I received, I almost spent 3,000 of it for consultation fees. And the other consultation fees were out of my own pocket to save for the lawyer's fees, leaving me with around 12K. Yeah, good. I thought he actually spent a lot more, but there could be more that he probably didn't say. July 2025. I started having overwhelming pain in my testicular region, probably kidney stones, to where it was hard to walk. A large lump appeared in my groin region. Yeah, probably was kidney stones. Jeez, the pain of that. Fearing the worst, I instantly thought it was cancer. I went to the very next day to the ER to figure out what was going on. When I went that morning to the ER, they looked me over and told me I would need to see a urologist, person who basically studies in urinating, like from the retina to the kidney, that sort of thing, to do anything. Didn't even know there was such a thing. They gave me medicine for the pain. That's a bad idea, but sent me on my way with a 3,000 bill I needed to pay at the later date. This is why bills in America when it comes to health insurance, let alone going to the hospital, are ridiculous. Like literally, that is way much. That's why I feel sorry for people who live in America who have to go through that on a daily. I then proceeded to look around for a urologist. While this was going on, I went to another hospital in a bigger city and they gave me an ultrasound to my groin region to figure out what was going on. The ultrasound would be useful for my urologist when I find one. The doctor came to the conclusion that there was swelling or cysts of some kind. I left this hospital with another bill that I would have to pay soon. Jeez. I told them I was in a massive pain and they said I need a specialist. So I contacted a urologist in my area and they told me they won't be able to get to me until August 31st, 2025. Look at this. That'll be a month's time before they could make an appointment. Finding that unacceptable, especially if it turns out to be cancer, I called someone in my state capital that is a urologist. They got me in the very same week, which is very good, but the doctor looked at my ultrasound and they came to the conclusion it isn't cancer. Okay. One says it might be cancer, the other says it's a cyst. Now this is going to be conflicting information. But it could be a Benj tumor, which is a type or a twisted testicular appendix. I've never heard of a twisted testicular appendix before. I've heard of appendix, but you're saying like the appendix and that appendix is wrapped around the testicular? Let's have a look at this. So that's testicular torsion. So that is not nice. Okay. The appendix of testis. Oh, geez. All right, I can make a summarize. Geez, basically where the waist exits the testicular or the testes, which is in the groin of men. Basically where it leaves and removes any of the, the bad stuff. The only way he could know for sure if it is I had the surgery. So what any person in my situation would do, and I said I'll do the surgery. I did not want to die at the age of 30 or experience this pain for the rest of my life. August 8, 2025, I undergo the surgery, which he got funded by from people for his GoFundMe, I believe. And he made it through, thank gosh. I undergo the surgery and the doctor concludes it was a cyst and a twisted testicular appendix that was causing everything. So he had a form of cancer as well as the clot from the, unless it was connected, probably. I was told it would take upward of 7 weeks to fully recover, which is very good considering. Like I thought it'd be longer. I had to pay 2,400 upfront just to get the surgery, not including additional fees afterwards. Ooh. So let's see what August 2025. X suddenly starts paying me up upward of 900 every few weeks for posting on social media. Very good. That'll actually help with his costs. This came out at a time I desperately needed to pay my previous hospital bills along with my surgery bills. I've been recovering slowly where I can walk normally and drive normally. Still feel uncomfortable sitting for long periods, but that's normal according to what my surgeon said. Yeah, because like you're putting pressure in the groin area, it would make sense where its testes would be. Sorry, I know it's a little graphic for people that are listening to this, but I need to hear this out loud. And for you to listen as well. I normally don't do such things, I apologize, but it's relevant. Now we are in September 2025. I have been offered to continue the lawsuit with the remaining 12K, but to be completely blunt, I will be 100% have to spend my money out of my own pocket to continue because it is monthly lawyer costing way over $2,000. Because with the retainer fee being at 5 grand, that'll make the rest of the money from the donation to around 7K, which with the monthly cost, it'll run out in about 4 months, give or take. I feel like it's definitely an option that will eventually make me find justice, but it will bleed me dry over time. So I ask you all what I do here. I can continue this and spend more money out of my pocket beyond the donation funds to seek justice, or I figure out another way. The reason I have I haven't talked about this more is because I was told to remain silent on the legal matters, which is understandable. I feel like the lack of transparency is a bad thing to those that donate. Yeah, but just don't tell them all the relevant bits, or the stalkers or harassers might do even worse damage if they catch wind of anything relevant in your words. I understand talking about anything, everything can damage the case, and I really don't want to do that. But I feel it's important to speak out about this to everyone. I have the evidence. I have a lawyer that seems like something can be done. But what you think I should do now? But what do you think I should do now? I know many will be upset with me having barely any progress made, which is understandable. He's only getting started with this case. But it's been a ridiculous year or years in my case, understanding that. Not just with the harassment and doxing, but the health issues that arose for myself that were outside my control. So I leave it up to you all to decide what my best options are. If you come to hate me, I understand, but felt it was important to state this for everyone to see. Anyways, I love you all and seriously, thank you for the support. And then everyone just basically sees what they can do to help out. Still, though, poor guy. He's gone through a lot. And he's still going through a lot. So let's see what the follow up is. Important. Breaking my silence and just saying it like it is. I have a new wave of harassment from my doctors and people that side with them that's been heating up in the last 24 hours. So it's important I repost this tweet down below from last year. Because like if people remember with the One Punch Man season 3, that went horribly, and Chibi Reviews did cover it, and a lot of haters came after him in that. There's something for you to know, okay? That's interrelatable. It's very possible that and a lot of obvious factors. I know who could probably be behind all this thing and is associated with Tectone and Noxtaku as well as other content creators that he associates with. Long story short, my family and I have been stressing about this shift for over a year. My brother's grave defaced from psychopaths and people using old lead family photos to attack not just me but my family members. My old DeviantArt got got a contact and illegal material post on. So it's just a summary. Thankfully, I got the account taken down with the Deviant staff quickly responded. I had so much more that I never talked about. I've been trying to get justice and it's a slow process. I'm not made of money. Saving money to continue is fucking hard. I honestly didn't realize how expensive it gets. You don't realize that anyone who never done it before, yeah, it's not cheap. Life's not freaking cheap when it comes to law. While battling all of this, I had many medical issues that last year too that I talked about in the post below. So fuck you to all of those side with my doctors. Just gonna block on site and be done with you. As for the campaign, I am published for more clarification. Here's what I posted for the reason a while ago. I also explained more about what I was going to do in the post I retweeted above back in 2025. Let's see what it says. Give, send, go. Shine brightly. This campaign is unpublished. Everyone that has donated, I thank you so much for helping me and get justice against those that came after my family. My family truly appreciates you all and seriously thank you. I made an official statement on this a few months ago on options. My family and I are saving money to push forward on expenses. I hope things go okay for you. Okay? Because really, that is a lot. Jeez, and he's only one of many examples. And I posted some just to cheer him up. Still, though, it's mad to know that. Okay, that's all I wanted to have my take on. But really, with the whole situation about Chibi Reviews, it only shows you how bad it gets for people in real life. Because, like, when you're streaming, like, doesn't matter if you're in an isolated area, there are crazy people that will go after you, you know? Just considering that. America is getting worse with the rampant assaults in Minnesota and other situations where I will say transgressors and actively protesting individuals that are trying to kill people on the daily for some unknown reason that everyone can probably figure out. It's only getting worse, and I do hope that all the victims they get the justice they deserve. And I know justice isn't going to come soon enough because there's so much going on in the background. All these shadow governments, all these corrupt elites, leeches, and more. You need to be strong in these times. And like I said in my post there, at, back in December, November, about the situation that's going to be triggered in these 5 years, there's going to be a lot of turmoil and conflict and the like which you've never seen. Not saying it won't be anything like World War One, two, but there's going to be a lot of secrecy, deception, a lot of hate, a lot of sadness, and more emotional turmoil. You gotta remain strong, everyone, okay? Chibi Reviews and your family, I hope you do okay. Okay, good sir? Be strong, help who you can, when you can, and try not give in to despair. That's all I'll say on my part, young man. Ironically enough, I didn't think you were the same age as me. See ya. Oh, or what?